Calling to order the Monday, 23rd of February Board of Commissioners work session. Elizabeth, can we get a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Gillikin,
Here.
Commissioner Spiegler, Commissioner Matthews,
Here.
Commissioner Cooper,
Here.
Commissioner LaPiccolo,
Here.
and it's noted that the mayor's running a little late and she'll join us in a few minutes.
Okay, great, thank you. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So move.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
There she is. And all opposed? We just did that.
Alrighty, so now we're moving on to items for discussion and consideration. The first one is the rejection of bid, stormwater collection system, cleaning, inspection, and rehabilitation, and we've got Sam Bell for that.
Hello, good afternoon, Mayor and Board. The next first two items on your agenda for consideration are both related to the same project. The town was awarded as a sub-recipient for a public safety, disaster relief, and recovery mitigation grant through the county. And so we've been looking at various projects that we can use for the funds. We had a couple that we looked at that didn't quite pan out, but we were able to put together a bid package for the project you see here, which is for inspecting and cleaning some lines in the downtown area and repairing where we can. The first bid, so they're split into two items because of how the bidding proceeded. But so the first item I have for you is recommending rejecting the first bid because it came in over the informal limit. And do you have any questions on the first item?
Anybody on the board have questions for Sam on the first item? You can proceed.
Okay.
There's no questions.
So what is your the staff would recommend rejecting the first bid because it exceeded the 500,000 formal bidding threshold. What is the pleasure of the board?
Is that something you're expecting the board to take action on tonight?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is a time-sensitive issue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I'll give an opportunity for the board to have some discussion, although you had no questions for Sam. This seems to be a time-sensitive item that we need to have the board address. And what is the pleasure of the board?
Mayor, move that we proceed with the rejection of the bid for the stormwater collection system cleaning, inspection, and rehabilitation.
Got a motion on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Okay.
All right. And then
Second item.
that brings us to the second item, which would be when we went back out for bids, we reduced the scope of the project so that we would anticipate that the bids would come in below that threshold. We received bids back. We had one successful bid that came in under the formal threshold, and we would recommend awarding this bid in the amount of $463,229.40 to Trader Construction Company of New Bern for the cleaning and inspection and lining of stormwater infrastructure in the downtown area.
So just for the general public, we had moved on to item number 2 under item and discussion. So I wanted to make sure that we were all tracking the same information. Are you ready for any questions from the board?
Yes, please. Any questions?
Any questions? Commissioner Matthews?
If you'd help me with this just a little bit. What was pared down from the original bid, obviously? What were the primary items that were removed, and why were they removed?
Oh, Good question, Commissioner. So for the second round of bids, we took out all of the invasive repairs, so any, all the point repairs, line, pipe replacement, anything that required a lot of expensive excavation, we took out. And we ended up keeping in the inspection work, cleaning, and lining, some lining, so that we could still do some of the more non-invasive work downtown. So that way we'll still have a good idea of what the system looks like, and can repair as needed, and also do some non-invasive repairs with the lining.
So some of the work that had to be dropped due to the amount of money would be taken up later as a part of capital improvement plan potentially?
Would you like to add something?
Yeah, if I can
Yes.
help. So what occurred here is we were in conversation with the county. We were very thankful to receive our near $530,000 from the county. So this is a 100% grant. And the town was trying to find the best way to utilize this $530,000 for stormwater repair. What we did is we identified that there was a chance to go into additional subdivisions and do work, but unfortunately those ideas, every time we went through, they ran into roadblocks. When we came back to the existing system, in addition to the USDA work that's currently underground and being repaired and finished up, there's segments of the community that we haven't been into. And so in the areas that are in the non-USDA areas where the pipes are still the older sections of the town, we want to get in there, camera them, and clean them. It's a simultaneous process. In the way that the first bid was worded, it could have been interpreted that each and every point repair that the contractor encountered, they were to fix along the way. And so if you looked at the full extent of the town, that was a very wide swath. And obviously, when the first bids came in, they were well over $1 million to $1.5 million, and our total budget was $500,000. So we reworded the contracts, we went back out and pared down the wording in the contract that there'll be a cost per lineal foot, you'll come in and camera and clean, and we want to get through as far as we can in those dollars. If we have any funds left and we identify areas that need point repairs, then we can go back and put the remaining balance to run it to zero. And we had to word it that way because if not, the poor contractors could have been on the hook. And so we redid the bidding. It's basically the same area. And if we run out of money while we're under the grant scope and we have identified that there are 0 or more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 locations, then we would identify what those were, estimate them, and put them in our capital improvement plan. Does that give a little bit better scope of where we're headed? So this one for the county has been a very good option for us. The county would have exercised the grant, but they didn't have enough resourcing. So by doing this, we'll get repairs and improvements to enhance our stormwater flow within inside the city limit. And so Sam's trying to get us to that point. And if we do pass tonight, the reason this is time sensitive, that the contractor could theoretically begin and complete the work between now and June 30th, which was a deadline from the county. So thank you so much for hearing us tonight at a workshop session.
And Matt, this doesn't include just solely downtown here. Obviously, there's USDA project in downtown here, but does it include other parts of the community as well?
It includes areas that underground existing stormwater infrastructure are already underground. So that is, there's a map associated with it, but most people are going to consider that near the historic downtown area. But where you have pipes, we're trying to get in and clean them, inspect them, and get that camera footage. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Most other places, if you start to get to the furthest extents, they'll have open ditches. And so the open ditches we can physically lay eyes on. Is that an accurate statement that it's dominantly in this zone? So we'll have areas.
Yes, that's correct. It's predominantly focused in the older parts of town.
So Sam, as I'm looking here at the bid that we just declined, and to the new one, there appeared to be some things that was left off, or we cleaned it up to another factor where that we could, so that we can get it all in and under budget.
So we're going to inspect the same zones, and then ultimately, if we find spots that need repaired, if we complete the inspection and there's money remaining, we're going to attack each of those one at a time until the grant is winnowed to $0.
Okay.
It was a very wide area, which is why we had to reject the first bid. It came in too high.
Okay.
The general philosophy remains the same.
Any further questions for Sam? All
What
right,
is
so,
the pleasure of the board?
thank you. We'll let the board go ahead and deliberate. There is a action item on this one, is to consider awarding the contract to Trader Construction Company. So what is the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the construction contractor hire Trainer Construction for stormwater collection system cleaning, inspection, and rehabilitation.
Okay, got a good motion on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to the UDO project. I just know like USDA. UDO project, the staff and consultant update. We've got Ms. Michelle Eitner up for that. Too many U's.
A lot of acronyms in what we do. Good afternoon. This afternoon, we're going to review our UDO project a little bit for the board in advance of further discussions, and I'm going to yield my time to Tyson.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Mayor Harker, it's good to see everyone again. It's been a while. Tyson Smith, I'm a partner with White Smith Cousineau, who's the firm that's handling the Unified Development Ordinance. What we'll do today is walk you through what we've done so far, where we're headed, and set you up for some decision-making in terms of how we move from here. Do I have control?
Is it on the side? There's a button on the side.
So we'll talk about the process so far, and also going to spend some time on the meetings and outreach that we've done so far, and then where we go next. Let me do this since I'm up here. You want to cover it? Okay. So there was some background. This goes back a good ways, and I'll just invite staff to jump in if I leave something out that's important. But as many of you know, the process that was underway after you adopted the CAMA plan was an RFP being issued for the land use plan and the UDO, and that was in 2020. Y'all adopted the plan in 2023. In 2024, we were brought on to do an assessment of the current land development ordinances, and that was an evaluation of what was there, and then a listening process that heard from the community in terms of what the community wanted to make sure when you got into this phase of the project, you were addressing in the land development codes. That process took us through November of 2024. That was also about the same time you got the state grant for the Resilient Coastal Community Program. And then we kicked this project off at the beginning of 2025, and that is the actual drafting of the UDO project. And that's what gets us to where we are today. This graphic may look familiar. This is generally where we are. We largely completed Module 1 in 2025. That's largely for reasons we'll discuss. Right now, we've started Module 2 in a limited way for reasons we'll discuss. And we expect to have Modules 2 and 3 done this year, and then under the current schedule, go into Modules 4 and 5 and be done by the end of next year. So that will sound very familiar to many of you, but I want to make sure I gave you all that background. In terms of deliverables and some of the key components of what we've done so far, I mentioned that code assessment, and that's the first thing you see there on your left. What we spent most of last year working on was the Coastal Resilience Overlay District Ordinance, which was a product of that grant that I mentioned earlier. There's some of the additional subject matters that are listed there that was covered there. One of the key things that included was an evaluation. It's a very complicated and cumbersome set of issues that we needed to deal with, and those of you who are serving on our UDO subcommittee, and all of you, I'm sure, are well aware of that. Part of muddling through one of the big topics there, which was adding an impervious surface ratio requirement for this community, dealt with doing an impervious surface coverage evaluation of the community, and that was town-wide. We took sample sites from around the community so that the UDO subcommittee, the planning board, the board of commissioners could have some sense of what a potential percentage of lot coverage would mean compared to what's out there today and what the historic level of development has been. So I point that out because it was very useful. A lot of work went into it. It's on the website, so I just wanted to draw your attention to that. Part of what we did last year also was something that overlapped with the rest of the code, the rest of the town. That was the landscape and tree ordinance. That was brought in because that's sort of related to resilience, and we knew that topic would come up, so part of Module 1 included starting to get into that topic. That's been through the UDO subcommittee, and we've made a revised draft of what their input was. That'll pick back up in Module 3, at least in terms of how we have the scope at this point. I think I've mentioned most of this, but just to point out that the overlay was drafted, first draft was done, I think, about last May. We started the UDO kickoff in March, and we had the first draft to the committee in May or so. That went through the public vetting, along with the subcommittee, the planning board, the board of commissioners. And during that process, the grant for the state grant was extended by a year. I know we'll get back to that topic as well. So in Module 2, we jumped right into that after the board met in October. But we limited Module 2 to topics that would not be implicated by Senate Bill 382, which is commonly referred to as the downzoning bill that was passed in December of 2024. So our work with staff was to say what in Module 2, which would be the natural next module we'll start working on, are we pretty comfortable won't be implicated by 382. We're not having to make any judgment calls. It's just stuff that doesn't affect a reduction in the use of property, let's just say. So we went through 6 or 8 things, and we've started to work on some of those. Those are there at the top. The other ones we've identified as pretty safe to work on without running in afoul of 382 or having to make big judgment calls or legal calls about 382 are the ones that you see under remaining Module 2 topics. Modules 3 through 5, I showed you the expected schedule earlier. We'll proceed along those modules as however you see fit. Let me keep going here a second. Again, the outreach. This was a very big part of the scope of work for us. It was something we heard during the assessment, this is a very, very important part of this project. So Module 1 included a number of kickoff sessions that were not just for Module 1, but for the entire UDO. You saw some of us at the farmers market last June, and we had 3 or 4, we've had 2 or 3, I guess, listening sessions and community conversations here at the train depot and some other places as well around the community. In addition, we had listener sessions. I mentioned that when we kicked this off in March. There were one-on-one stakeholder meetings with the development community members. Some of the tools that we've used are informational boards. You saw some of those in the pictures above, but we've had those at every community outreach session that we've had. We've also set up a Conveyo website. So that was something that we added to the city's normal website. I do hope you get a chance to look at that in detail. We haven't used that many times, and we've been very, very pleased with it. I feel like the community here has. It's got a community section and a section for the UDO subcommittee where you can see all the documents that have been done. You can see prior iterations. You can see redline versions. You can see where the last meetings were. You can see where the next meetings were. That's been a real success, I think, as well. And then in addition, over this project so far, we've had 6 meetings with this board, 3 meetings with the planning board, and 8 with the UDO steering committee. So that's where we're at now. We've largely wrapped up Module 1, pending further guidance from the board. This is where we stand today. How's that?
It's very good, short and sweet.
Okay. What questions?
But a lot of information. Well, thank you, Mr. Smith, for that. Does anybody have any questions? Commissioner Matthews?
Just a comment, and thank you for your presentation, Dave. Sure. As I understood then, since November of '25, nothing that would be tied up with compliance with Senate Bill 382 has been done.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. And really, this is for the public, but there was an item that was sent out as a part of the agenda packet that basically says with the board's concerns regarding applicability of the proposed ordinances so far in compliance with state statutes moving forward, most work on the UDO project has been put on hiatus. And that would continue, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and I spoke with Aaron coming in, that nothing will continue until the board takes an action. I'm getting a lot of questions from the public, and I just wanted to make sure that that was understood.
Commissioner Matthews, that is accurate. Your staff and consultants have basically hit stop on certainly anything that would be impacted by the downzoning legislation until further guidance of this board, further guidance from this board and direction.
Thank you.
Can I just clarify that? So we did hear that there are
parts of the UDO that are not affected by that bill. So are we saying we can't work on any part of the UDO at this point, or just those parts?
Yeah, Tyson and his group are continuing to work on non-down zoning impacted parts of the ordinance. And part of what we need to discuss later in the meeting in closed session is exactly how the board wants us to move forward with the future modules. But there is some work going on right now, but it does not in any way involve down zoning.
Okay, I just want to clarify what Commissioner Matthews said, because in our agenda packet, it does say most work on the UDO project has been on hiatus, but I think the clarifier is the work related to that bill has been on hiatus. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Any further questions for Mr. Smith? All right.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Now we're going to move on to the Cedar Street speed limit review. This is Turner Street to the western terminus. Matt Zapp is going to take us up.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. We've had a commissioner bring forward a request pertinent to Cedar Street, and we did our investigation. I want to thank Planning Director Kyle Garner for assisting. We went out and inspected the current and existing speed limit signs that are on file right now, physically up on Cedar Street. Want to remind folks that the section of Cedar Street from Turner West to its terminus are within NCDOT's control. The blue section that shows from Turner Street down towards Live Oak is currently under town control, as is the green section. So the blue section, which was transitioned to the town following the major street rehabilitation, went from NCDOT control back to the town. But the westernmost section from Turner Street to the terminus at the water remains NCDOT. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Gillikin can talk to her request, but it's for NCDOT to look at that western section. If you could slide over a little bit, it shows it in white. Thank you. The white section of Turner is NCDOT controlled. That speed limit is currently 35 miles an hour. And I believe the request is to, by a resolution of support, if the board chooses to see fit, would be asking NCDOT Division 2 to review that section of roadway and determine if 35 is the acceptable speed limit, or if a reduction potentially down to 25 miles an hour could be sought.
Okay. All right, any questions about that?
I've got some questions. Do we have any data to support this? Do we have any speed studies that have been done? Do we have accidents or speeding tickets that have been issued around that area? Do we have any injuries or anything like that? Can we elaborate on that some more?
If you'd like to speak to what you've heard.
Sure, it's complaints. So since the hotel is going there and that parking lot across the road, the marina folks have been shifted over there. And there's also a marina next door. And I guess some GPS units have not taken into account that the old Graydon Paul Bridge is like a dead end. People are speeding through there, and some of the people from the marina that are crossing the road to get to the parking lot with their pets often, or carts or whatever it may be, have been in fear of their safety.
And so, so it's mainly been just complaints on that area as well. And the current 35-mile-an-hour road from Turner all the way to Live Oak, that would be included in this, correct? No. Okay.
So the section of the map is the white section,
Just
and
the
I
white section.
apologize. It's the white section from Turner to the Highway 70 Radio Island lettering.
Okay.
It's just simply, that's the request.
And have we heard from business owners along that area? Are they in favor of this as well?
The marina and the hotel are in favor of it,
Okay.
both for Yacht Basin to be specific.
And I, as a commissioner who lives on Cedar, right, as the particular stretch of road that Commissioner Gilligan is speaking on, I would like to, see it reduced, although that there's a couple of vehicles that does speed through that area. pretty much every day. And like she said, with the hotel opening soon, and obviously the parking for the hotel is going to be adjacent from there, and so that means that people has to cross unless they have valet service. But even that, it still could be very dangerous.
I guess the concern I have is, if we have been enforcing the speed limit, if people have been speeding, obviously, we should be enforcing that speed limit. But the concern, which I've heard before through the police department, is that if we start spot changing speed limits in our community, they just want consistency. And I just want to make it so, and I'd like to hear, I kind of wonder how the police department feels about that, with having to then kind of make sure that this one section is 25 and now this one section is 35. And consistency, I would imagine, is probably important. And if just enforcement would be performed, then maybe we can kind of tamp that down.
Well, it's 25 after you come, after you clear the bridge in the residential area, and then as you would turn, so it would impede in terms of being able to, the consistency would be coming off the bridge and then making that right turn onto Cedar and then continue at 25.
But it would be inconsistent just driving down Cedar, crossing Turner, then moving to 25.
Well, we're having that now, coming off the bridge, as you come off the first bridge now and you get to Turner, it's 35.
Oh, I understand.
So and then it reduces down, once you complete the
Mike's-
bridge, it reduces down to 25.
All right, we've got a comment down here.
To John's point, so part of it, right, is enforcement, and if people break the law, then giving them a ticket. But I also, we've heard the police department say a lot too, that a lot of it is education. And I think part of this, because it's not a really high trafficked area, it's a dead end. And so just to have a sign up that says 25, I would think that would educate a lot of people. And if they saw like, oh, this is different down here, I should probably comply. I would actually think just for that short stretch, the education part by putting up the sign might help alleviate a lot of people that before thought it was fine to go 35, because it's fine to go 35 there right now. So I think that might be enough to lower people's speeds there.
Right, and like I said, my concern is just if people are driving just 35 speed limit, there may not be an issue. But if they're driving 45 right now, then maybe just enforcing the speed limit may be helpful.
Yeah, I think 35 is too high for that area. It's not that, I don't know how many people are blasting through there at 45, but I know the marina is concerned with even 35, with people crossing the road with suitcases, and just the people at the marina that are there now have been concerned about it.
That portion is more residential than if you make the left turn, which is just the courthouse and then a clear path straight down. 35 may not, that maybe continue as it is, but when you make that right, you're in the residential. And I think what happens also is that I think most people GPS, when they're trying to, locate something, is still giving them that right turn, I guess, as if they can still go across the bridge. Then they come to that dead end and realize they can't, so they turn around and they don't necessarily go 35, maybe go 37 to 38, trying to, maybe make some sort of time deadline. But I see that happening quite a lot, where that people go down and then next thing I could see them coming back, and oop, I guess the GPS didn't work right. Then they zzz. So, but it's more residential than any portion of Cedar, which turned into more commercial.
Commissioner Matthews?
It's a question, so I'm not sure exactly who this would go to, but it may be getting to John's point to a point, and that is the review and consideration by DOT in making the change. Can anyone speak to what goes into that? Well, some of the concerns that are being raised is that what will be considered in making that decision, and with some of the things that you're raising as well, John.
I think in the resolution, it speaks to some of the concerns that you'll be sending off to NCDOT. They all have the ability to say yes or no. I'm not saying it's a guarantee by any chance, but I believe the way the resolution is written is to enhance pedestrian safety, improve neighborhood livability, promote overall traffic safety in that area. So I think the need for it has been addressed in the resolution. It'll still be up to them as to whether to grant it or not.
So as far as you understand, if this has been done in the past, those considerations is what DOT will use in making their decision. Is that
Yes, and I'm
Correct.
going to let Matt also expand on that.
So I have recent experience with this on NC 58 and the reduction of the speed limit on an 800-foot section when you were entering Emerald Isle from the easterly side headed westbound on NC 58. And so when NCDOT, we looked at the process, they said you needed a resolution of support because their goal is to support what the local flavor or commission seems is necessary. They also take the NCDOT playbook and they run it through that as well. And I was given a term and a turn of phrase that I think is extremely important in this particular case. Speed limits do not reduce accidents. Speed limits reduce the severity of accidents. So if you were to have an area that had high collisions, whether it be vehicular on vehicular, a golf cart crossing, a pedestrian area, a proposed reduced speed limit could theoretically enhance the safety of the individuals by the reduction of the severity, but not the frequency. So in this particular case, from a staff's perspective, you're placing a new magnet, if you will, in the form of the Compass Hotel. You have a lot of cross-traffic in that area. I think that DOT would look at this potentially as a favorable solution, speed reduction in that area. And I can answer the question that Commissioner LaPiccolo brought up. Do we have any particular data, crash data? We didn't pull that. Is that correct, Chief? That's correct. So at this point, we're really trying to get ahead of a conversation. So if this is something that you want to see NCDOT's Division 2 take a peek at, we tried to capture that here. Again, I think that they may consider this favorably based on the fact that it is now a dead end and there may be some people doing what I would consider to be the turnaround. They're probably doing the speed limit as they travel west. They may not be doing the speed limit as they come back east to re-navigate.
They're always doing the speed limit in Beaufort.
Yes, and it's always beautiful and sunny and it never rains. And
That's
so
true.
when that happens, when somebody gets to a dead end and they turn around, yeah, or snows, thank you. But then they turn around, that may be what's happening too. So there's a lot of question about the new frequency that's coming and the amount of people and the traffic that'll be in the zone. So I think that's where this began and probably sits. Is that accurate?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But it's worth taking a peek at. We have had NCDOT take a look at the Turner Street Bridge, and our first time asking them for the reduction from the 35 to 25, it didn't hold water. They came and did some investigation. A year or two later, we had the same conversation. They had a little bit more data under their belt, and then they agreed. This might be a lot less of an impacted area as far as the speed limit and the number of people that are traveling versus the bridge. So I would probably think that they would be more favorable. But just to answer your question, Mr. Matthews, yes, has been denied before, gone back, and has been approved second time around.
Thank you.
Can we do a traffic study, have the speed limit thing, that device that the department has at its disposal to put there and see exactly, you know, what people are traveling along that?
Good afternoon. We absolutely can if that's your direction.
Okay.
We have the capability to put up the speed trailer and track data, but just, I'd caution you, just the results normally come back that folks are generally obeying the speed limit. The structure of the road, how close sidewalks are, et cetera, add to the flavor of what you feel like you're perceiving. And a lot of times on our roads, it's perceived that vehicles are traveling faster than they actually are. So we can absolutely set up the trailer and collect that data. To pregame the results, it's probably not going to come back conclusive. You know, that being said, with it being the terminus, it is ripe for a reduction with the activity, and we fully support that.
Okay. I'm just throwing it out there if we need it in terms of data.
Yes, sir.
It's hard to report safety concerns and incidences through that type of data. Sometimes is, if you're not going to do anything with the information, why collect it?
Right, and I can share it, it is not a high, we don't get complaints from that area regarding this topic.
Yeah. But some change is going to happen down there. You're going to have a hotel that's going to have a ribbon cutting here this week, and people are going to start booking and coming on down. So it's probably better to be proactive versus reactive, right? All right, that's just, now that we can either move on, would you like to take action on this tonight? Okay, if so, I'd like to have a motion.
Make a motion that we proceed and maybe pass the resolution on to the state, and because I think there, going to be potentially some safety factors there as the hotel opens.
True.
Especially that it also has Margaritaville Bar as well, so.
All right, so we've got a motion to adopt the resolution to support the NCDOT Division 2 request. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Now, before we go into closed session, I have promised a little bit of time to Commissioner Cooper. I'm going to turn the mic over to him.
No, thank you, Mayor. I missed the opportunity at the meeting a couple of weeks ago that we had. So I asked the mayor if I could just, a few words. This is the last week of the Black History Month. So we have a few historical points here in Beaufort, which is one to speak tonight, is the Godet Hotel. It was never listed in what is known as the Green Book. And the Green Book was a book that was put out that would allow blacks in traveling, especially from Virginia on down, points where they could stop for gas, somewhere to eat, and then somewhere to sleep. And I had an uncle that from New York used this book to travel at night because, one, he had an Italian wife, and once he got into Virginia, that was a very dangerous thing for him to be during the daylight, to be with a white female in the vehicle. So he had to travel at night, and he used this Green Book to be able to stop for gas. He didn't have nowhere to sleep, but he did have to have somewhere to stop to be able to get gas. So the Godet Hotel, although it's not listed in this book, it was one of the traveler location in terms of being able to have somewhere to sleep at night, as well as the Manhattan Fisher guys slept there, as well as also students that use the hotel as well. So, like I said, this is the last week of the Black History Month. There is an event, if you want to leave from here, that the college is having tonight that starts at 6. There was one other thing I wanted to speak on. In that I had a grandfather who was 102 years old, and he was born into slavery. And I did get a chance to have a conversation with him before he died, and he spoke on the things that, as a little kid, that he had to endure. Okay. And one last thing, this also, Reverend Jesse Jackson, famed civil rights activist, who just recently passed a few days ago, and he was a strong component. He did travel here one time, I think, here in North Carolina. I think he came close to New Bern, but his death definitely is an impact on the civil rights movement. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, he was in New Bern, and my husband took pictures with him, so we have pictures with Jesse Jackson, so that was pretty cool. All right, so with that being said, I want to have a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 A and 3.
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, be back in 5.
Yeah, I met Jesse in Philadelphia.
Are you in Philadelphia?
Yes, I did see it.
Have you ever been before?
Okay.
Have you met him? No?
Ooh.
Yeah, he was walking downtown in Philly, by this,